Fiction is better than reality. Welcome to the podcast where we talk specific elements that make our favorite fictional worlds so amazing. This week, we are talking about Star Wars. Welcome, everybody, to Better Than Reality. I am your host, Hannah without an H, and here with me in studio, I have my guest, Tyler. Welcome.
That's me. Thank you.
You are on for our first episode.
I'm very excited.
I'm excited, too. I've been wanting to start this for a while now, so I'm excited and happy to have you here. And Star Wars, that's what we are going to be talking about today. I thought, what better universe to choose for our first episode than one so iconic? And for today, we're just going to kind of do, for the first episode, just kind of a general discussion on Star Wars, our likes, dislikes, what we like about it so much. And then we'll get into more specific discussions for other episodes.
Sounds good.
But yeah, so let's get into it. Alrighty, time for the discussion. Okay, so Star Wars. I have on my notes that I was going to do a brief summary, but I don't think that's necessary.
I think most people know.
Everybody knows what the universe is, and if you don't, then you probably shouldn't be listening to this.
Or you can, and we can help you.
Or you can, but I would Google it because we don't need to summarize Star Wars. Come on. Everyone knows.
And we're planning on talking about mainly the original trilogy, which pretty much everybody should watch.
Yes, exactly. That should be the first ones that you watch. Okay. So I guess I'll start with you. You can start off with this. So what I wanted to start with was what makes Star Wars so appealing? Like, what do you think it is? Like, for you personally, why do you love it?
I mean, I think it kind of has the main theme that they talk about in like every single movie, hope. I think like that's probably the most interesting part of the stories, even in like Empire Strikes Back when everything seems dim. Mm-hmm. There's still that little inkling of hope that they nurture and turn into changing things for the better.
Which contrasts to our worlds very beautifully. It really does, especially now.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, one of the main things is just I love the idea of the Jedi. And the Jedi Knights and their kind of protectors and peacekeepers over this galaxy, and lightsabers, one of my favorite weapons. Iconic. And I just think they are so cool. And we're actually going to do an episode on that shortly, just on lightsabers. But yeah, and then just the idea of the Force, that they can manipulate this Force and, do those cool things. Like I fell in love with the Jedi, and I think I was a Jedi like for Halloween, like many Halloween seasons I was a Jedi.
It is pretty cool.
It is so cool. Like it just, I don't know, like just how do you come up with that? I love it and I admire it and I think it's amazing. And yeah, just talking about with you saying hopes, like just the themes that kind of like war and politics and all that, and how
redemption.
You can watch, and how you can watch it as a kid and it doesn't seem like it's it's politics, but I mean, you can follow it, you know, it's not too complicated and it makes sense. And just the way the story is told is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, even the characters are super likable, relatable. Even if you don't relate to every single one, there's probably a character in it that you'll relate to and be connected with and care about.
Yep, absolutely. I agree with that. And just the world in general, like just the worlds that was built with just the planets and like getting to see all the different races. And I just like how it was such I think this was really the first time we saw like a real space like world kind of being completely like extensively created where you get to see all of it. So I think that's, for me, another reason why I really, really liked it.
Well, even the intro to the very first movie with the Star Destroyer, like peeking over the top of the frame and just coming in, and it doesn't seem to end.
I know. Yeah, no, it's just so cool. And I just love everything that they did. And it's just so creative, so unique. And Tatooine is still probably one of my favorite planets. I think because it's the first one that we saw.
Yeah.
And I just like how it kind of has this sort of rundown feel, but you have the technology. Mm-hmm. But I just thought that was a really cool feel. And then, of course, I love Jabba the Hutt and his whole gang. I think they're cool. So Anything else that you would add?
I mean, talking about Tatooine, I think it's kind of cool how like it was kind of the first introduction to alien species, and like the Jawas, which are like, you know, little hooded things that you can't really see the faces of, and then Tusken Raiders. What I forget what the big like furry things are with the tusks.
Oh, yes.
But, like,
I know what you're talking about.
yeah.
I forget their name too.
But like all the practical effects, the costuming,
Absolutely.
all like it looks human in a way, but distinctly not.
Yeah.
Is probably the coolest part about Star Wars. Even set design between like inside the space stations, the ships, like it all looks,
And it still holds up
Yeah.
today. Like when I watch them, I'm like, this still holds up and it still looks
Yeah.
great. Like it's believable. It's amazing what they did on such a small budget too, because this wasn't even supposed to be a big thing.
Yeah,
And I don't even think it was supposed to be in theaters.
even the time frame, like what was it, 77 the first one came out, so that means it would have been like 75 it was
Yeah.
filming, so like that's a time period that where things like that weren't really happening.
It's crazy. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then one other thing I want to add that made me fall in love with Star Wars was Darth Vader, obviously. Like he's the coolest villain ever.
Yeah,
There he is. Look at him just towering over everybody. And man, there was just something about him when you saw him, like you were afraid.
yeah.
I think part of it is the look. You're just like, oh my gosh, this guy's like all in black. He's got the red lightsaber. And then you're like, but then you're so curious about him. Like why does he wear this suit? Like,
Yeah.
is there a reason? And just his presence and his commanding authority. It was just, as soon as he walked into the room, especially with the music too, like
Yeah.
you knew stuff was about to go down.
And like throughout the first movie, the little sprinkles of lore with like, oh, he killed your father, Luke. Like he killed Anakin. It's like, oh wow, this guy is like a jerk. Luke's the hero. Or Grand Moff Tarkin, that dude right under
This guy?
Ben, yeah,
Yeah.
being like a real not nice person,
No.
blowing up a planet, and yeah,
And like doesn't even flinch over it. I'm just like, okay. But I mean, that's what makes a true villain, I guess. You just don't
yep.
do what you gotta do.
Even though I think doesn't he die at the end of the first movie too?
Yeah, he gets blown up in the Death Star.
But
Man, could you imagine that? Like you're on a ship and then the next thing you know, just
you literally make like the most devastating weapon in history, and then you die on it. Yeah.
yeah, oh my gosh. But that's one of the other great things about Star Wars is like just the space, the whole that they take so much time to do like space battles and everything. And that
Yeah.
was another thing I absolutely loved about it.
Even those
And-
special effects of like the space
Yeah,
fights and everything.
They were
yeah.
so good.
I mean, the
know.
trench fight doesn't hold up as well, but all the other like space fights and stuff
space fights
look
are
really good.
pretty good.
Yeah.
I know, man. And just the different spaceships and how you could tell like which ones were on the good side and which ones were on the bad side. They all had their own specific look.
The bad guys starships literally scream when they fly through space.
They do.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I guess moving on, anything that you would change about Star Wars or add to it, or do you think it's perfect the way it is?
Are we talking like just original trilogy?
We're gonna open it up to like, I think all.
I mean, I feel like the new trilogy kind of went back to the sense of adventure that the original trilogy has. I think the first one was kind of too deep seated in like political intrigue and romantic development and stuff that
I agree.
the writing just didn't feel like Star Wars. It felt like something else in space. But I mean, I still love Duel of the Fates. I think Duel of the Fates is
That
like
was
the best,
probably the
Star
best
Wars
part of the
song.
movie.
Yeah,
That redeemed the movie to me. Other than the pod races, I
Yeah.
loved the pod racing.
and dual sided lightsabers.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Don't even get me started on that. Yeah. Like for me, talking about that first movie, like Jar Jar, come on. Like to me, that's has to go. Like he didn't change the plot at all. He was just there and he was a dumb character. I'm sorry.
There are a lot of
But he
theories
was
that
stupid.
he was the Phantom Menace.
What?
Because like a lot of people have made theories about how like Jar Jar was actually like the Sith Lord above Palpatine, where like he manipulated everybody into like getting into the war with the Gungans and stuff, and like destroying the
Jar Jar's behind it all.
yeah, like he was the whole reason like the clones were made and whatnot. Like yeah,
I don't think so.
There's like some, I forget what the one that I watched was. It was like an hour-long video.
Oh, I'm sure. I believe it. I don't think that was the intent. I think he was just meant to be another character, kind of like R2 and C3PO, but didn't really turn out. Because at least them, like, they were good companions and they add to the story.
Yeah.
And you like them. There's nothing likable about Jar Jar. I'm sorry. He sounds annoying. He does nothing. If anything, he causes them trouble.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's my personal opinion.
He did like accidentally take out a tank in that one fight.
Accidentally, though. And I mean, would that tank have been taken out? Like, probably by someone else.
Who knows? And then he becomes like the representative of his planet.
Yeah, like the senator or something. And I'm like, when I saw that, I'm like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Out of all people.
Yeah.
Senator Banks.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Who better to represent the Gunkins?
Yeah. Senator Banks. Gotta be him. Yeah, I guess another thing that I would change, some of the prequels, I think some of them, if they weren't made, things would have been better. Like, I'm a big fan of, like, obviously the original Star Wars, and then I didn't mind 1, 2, and 3 just because I kind of grew up with those and they came out in theaters. And to some extent, they do help, like, tell the story and kind of fill in the blanks that the OG Star Wars didn't tell.
Yeah.
Were they the best? No. Could they be done better? Absolutely. But I still think they're good enough. Some of the prequels that they made, though, like the new movies, the new Star Wars movies, I'm not a fan at all of any of them.
Yeah. I was pretty disappointed with, like, each one in different ways. But
I
even with the
know.
prequels, like, they're telling the story of how Anakin became Darth Vader. Where's the tension? We know he's going to turn bad.
Yeah. I know. And like, to me, the first one, it was just too similar to episode 4.
Yeah, A New Hope, yeah.
Which
literally
like,
exactly the same.
Everyone's like, oh, but they had to do that. And I'm like, no, they didn't. I mean, they didn't necessarily have to. I don't think, but I don't know. Yeah, so I just I'm not a fan of the prequels and that they keep adding. Other than Mandalorian, I thought Mandalorian was great.
I think the animated series was pretty good.
Oh,
Clone,
yes.
Clone Wars. And I haven't had a chance to watch, what's it called? Is it just called Rogues or?
Oh, Rogue One.
Rebels, sorry.
Oh, Rebels, okay.
Yeah, that's like when Ahsoka is like an adult or whatever, but
and
Rogue One was really good too.
I actually didn't mind Rogue One. Like, out of all of the like the prequels and stuff like that and add-ons, I thought that was pretty good. I didn't mind it. I have a friend who like really disagrees with me, but
really?
Curlis, I think it was a great movie. Yeah, so I mean, and like anything, I wouldn't really add anything because I think it was good to start with. And the fact that they keep adding stuff, I think takes away. So to me, there's nothing that I would add to me, Star Wars.
I'm thankful that it's over. Like, they're saying that Skywalker saga is done. They're going to explore other things. I'm like,
thank goodness. Like, please. All right. Okay. Well, I mean, I think that's a pretty good little discussion just on our likes, dislikes of Star Wars and kind of introducing the universe as discussion. So I think it's an appropriate time to transition. And we got a fun wrap-up question. This is something we're going to do at the end of every episode. So do not go away. All right.
What do you got
ready?
for me?
All right. So the question that I have today is, who is your favorite Star Wars character and why?
Oh, man.
Just, if you need time, I can go first.
I mean, I would probably have to say it would be either like Chewie or Obi-Wan. I mean,
that's a good choice. Yep. Like original or like,
I don't know, man.
Not necessarily like you.
I really liked Ewan McGregor in the prequels.
He was a great casting choice.
Like, I thought he nailed the Alec Guinness like impersonation or whatever, the voice and everything. I mean, besides like, hello there. I thought was a little weird, but he was like hands down my favorite part about the prequels. And like Chewbacca, arguably, he's the guy who flies the Falcon.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's really Han Solo, but
Chewie's great.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, mine is and has always been Han Solo. He is my favorite character. I love him so much. Yeah, and him and Chewie just make the cutest duo ever. I just like his smug character. I like how he's smug and kind of comes across as this really like, yeah, I don't care. I'm all about myself and just want like the money and the credits or whatever.
Yeah.
But deep down inside, he really truly cares. And I like that Leia brings that out in him. And I just like those kinds of characters who kind of come across as like probably not the most like good person there is.
Yeah.
But you can see that moral conflict kind of inside of them. And, you know, deep down inside, they know, you know.
Is that a pun with the I love you and then I know?
It wasn't intentional, but yes. Pun not intended, but kind of worked out. So yeah, I mean, I like him, and I just like that he's very brave, and the things that he ended up doing, like for the rebels, like he didn't have to do any of that, but he kind of went out of his way, took his ship. I mean, he really, the one movie, I mean, he was with Luke and Leia the whole time, and I mean, if it wasn't for him, the ending would have been a very different story. And same with him coming back, like in the battle with the Death Star, like he came back and helped them. And
Battle of Endor, and like, and even like, I mean, he like ended up being what was the turning into like the big slab. I forget what that's called.
Oh, he was frozen in cryogenic
carbonite.
That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I mean, like he literally pretty much died.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
turned into a trading card for Jabba, basically.
Yeah,
put on
literally,
his wall.
And was hung on his wall for a while. It was a good.
I think it was like half a year, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah,
I don't remember what the time between it.
I mean, who else would have done that? Only Han Solo.
Exactly.
And yeah, so I just always liked him, and I love Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason not to like Harrison Ford, I don't think.
Did you like the prequel movie?
I refused to watch it because I can only see Harrison Ford as Han Solo, and I was devastated when they killed him off. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. I
cried. I literally cried. I was done. That was the point where I was really done. I'm like, I'm done. Like that.
The part that hurt me most about that was Chewie's reaction.
I know. That's what made me cry. It was Chewie crying, and I'm like, stop it. No. so sad. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, I think that's a wrap. This was a good discussion on Star Wars, and make sure you guys tune in. Next time, I think we're gonna have a discussion on lightsabers. Yeah, so we're pretty excited about that because that's my favorite weapon. Probably one of my favorite fictional weapons. But yeah, we will leave that for next time, and hope you guys tune in. Thanks. Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you like what you hear, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're listening on Spotify or iTunes, be sure to check out our videos on YouTube. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you check out that audio. Thank you so much for your support. We'll see you next time.